Now from the University of Okoboji, it's Okoboji Broadcast with Jeff Thee.
Welcome to Okoboji Broadcast, everybody. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm glad to have here with me today State Representative, I couldn't say it there, John Wills from Spirit Lake, State District 1.
Hi there. Welcome. Good afternoon. And
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, in just a week, you're going to be down in Des Moines again.
Yeah, January 10 we'll be down in Des Moines and starting to, first week is pretty much pomp and circumstance, but we get right into it after that and get into the meat and potatoes of the session.
Yeah. Are you raring to go? I mean, I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I've got a lot of initiatives that I'm ready to start looking forward to, and I'm really kind of championing this year myself, tax reform. We've got $1 billion in reserves that legally we have to have. Yeah. And then we've got another $1 billion in a taxpayer trust fund that has to go out to the taxpayer. Right. And then next year we're projected to have another $1 billion. And so all told, $3 billion sitting in our banks, making nobody happy. Yeah. And it should just go back to the taxpayer because we're over collecting taxes. It's very evident we're over collecting taxes right now, and we need to stop that. We're not a bank. We're not. We shouldn't just be sitting on money and collecting money or collecting a bunch of extra money and then spending it. Right. We should, we're funding all of our programs and things that we need to be funding as a state government. It just needs to go back to the people. Yeah,
is that a hardship on folks when you're taking those taxes and like businesses and so forth, and does it make competition for competing with businesses in South Dakota and a little tougher on us?
Yeah, right now I was one of the I can't speak.
You too?
It's the first of the year. Yeah. We're one of the highest tax states in the nation. I think number 47 when you combine all of our taxes together. So you look at that, if we can reduce our income tax, which we're right around 32 in the nation, if we can lower our income tax down to less than 25, we're going to be more competitive. Corporate taxes were like number 48 in the nation. If we can look at something in that area, I think we could be more competitive in the Midwest for sure, if not the nation.
Well, just look at the way the exodus that they're seeing in some really high tax states, California, New York, and people going to Florida and Texas. They've had it.
No taxed states. Yeah. No income taxes.
And people are saying, well, if they're not going to change something, I'm going to change something, and they pack up the U-Haul and get going.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, again, the Republicans are in the majority. Pretty comfortable in the House yet. Senate's tight. Of course, Republican governor. You said tax reform. Any other priorities moving forward for this session that Republicans have?
So another one that I'm going to be working at, and I think these are number 1 and 2 issue in the House, at least, tax reform and workforce development. And so I think those two, right now we've got 65,000 jobs listed on our state workforce website. Yeah. 65,000 jobs are sitting out there. We don't have the people to fill them. We do have about 115,000 unemployed Iowans. Now, not all of them are employable, but a good portion of those could go to take some of those 65,000 jobs. Yeah. So I would look at some things like unemployment reform or benefit reform, that sort of thing. But I think we also need to look at licensure reform. We need to look, because some of those jobs people can't get to because they don't have the license or they don't have the skills. We've already got some very nice skill gamesmanship. So like through the community college, you can go get a skill, you can get a license, or you can get an additional education. Right. I think daycare and childcare is another huge thing. Some people, I was going to say some women, but it's not always the woman. Oh. Some people are staying home taking care of the kids, which is all right if that's what they want to do, but they simply can't afford daycare. Yeah. So we need to look at how can we make that daycare more affordable without giving people a bunch of money to do that. Yeah. So I think some of those are some of the things that we need to look at doing. In improving the ability for people to get a job. Yeah. And then looking at legal immigration to the state of Iowa, workforce housing, because that's the next thing we're going to hit is how do we house people moving to the state of Iowa when we
Right.
don't have adequate housing now, especially in the rural areas. We did make a big jump towards that last year, where our workforce housing tax credit was $15 million, and we increased it to $32 million, 17 of which had to go to rural Iowa. Well, that was gone in a matter of months.
Right.
So we need to either look at more workforce housing tax credits or figuring out what we need to do with that.
Any thoughts on? I think it's on Friday. The U.S. Supreme Court's supposed to rule on this with COVID for businesses or employers with 100 or more. Of either way, they could, no crystal ball, but there are ramifications within the state of Iowa if the Supreme Court holds that up.
So you said Friday that they're going to...
I believe so, anyway, yeah.
That'd be very cool, because then we'll know. We've been kind of waiting to see what that lawsuit turns out. We've been very interested in seeing the results of that lawsuit. I fully believe that the Supreme Court will say to Joe Biden, you can't do that. It's an illegal mandate. OSHA is not designed. It is not a constitutional organization that can make law.
Right.
Congress makes law.
Yeah.
And so that's what OSHA is doing right now, is they're making law. And so I think that the Supreme Court is going to throw that out. However, if they do not throw it out by some weird option or thing, we're going to have to address that. We're going to have to do something. It's going to make it very touchy, because the federal, which if Supreme Court does not or upholds the law or the rule,
Right.
it becomes a law.
Right.
Which is why I don't think it's going to be constitutional. But if the Supreme Court should do that, and we try to act on it, the federal law supersedes state law, and so we lose again. But we're going to try. We're not going to stop, because
Right.
we believe that these mandates are totally wrong and not something that should be done. But that's basically why we've been waiting, is we can't. We want to try to do it the right way through the courts.
All right.
And then if we can't get our way there, we'll try to address it through a law, which is going to get shot down by the courts.
And all we can do is wait and see what they do at this point, and,
That's right.
and move on from there.
Yep.
So when you get going next week, does it start out with the governor giving her State of the State address?
Yeah. So a lot of pomp and circumstance next week. Governor will start out on Tuesday, so we'll gavel in for the first time on Monday.
Okay.
The governor will give her address, and she's going to do that on Tuesday night now, where it used to be done in the day.
Yeah.
Last year was the first time she did it at night, and she liked that. So I think she got some viewership on PBS or whatever. And so they're going to, she wants to do that again this year. So Tuesday night, Wednesday will be the state of the courts.
Okay.
Thursday will be the state of the National Guard. And so a lot of just reports, a lot of here's how we're doing, here's what's going on in the state. And so we'll kind of get spun up to date and kind of get the need to know stuff out of the way next week. And then the week after, we'll start really getting into the meat and potatoes and doing our committee work, starting to move bills out of committee so that we can start debating them and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, with of course, it's an election year for you, for the governor. First of all, how tough is that? You're in District 1 right now, and you're going to be running for re-election in another. Does that mean a lot more political forums and parades and getting out and meeting a whole group of new people while you're still representing another group of people?
Yeah, I really feel like I need to represent Lyon, Osceola, and Dickinson County, which is House District 1. But I'm a candidate for House District 10, which is Dickinson, north half of Clay, Palo Alto, and the southwest corner of Kossuth. And so that really brings me to two different directions in the state of Iowa. I really feel like Lyon and Osceola still need my representation. Yeah. So I intend on going to forums and to legislative update type things over there. But I also want to start campaigning and getting my name known to the folks in the new district as well. And so I intend on just trying to play double duty for a little while and seeing double the number of folks and double the number of forums and that sort of thing. The way I understand is there's not a lot of forums over in Palo Alto or Kossuth, but whatever I can do, I will. And if anybody has an event or has something they'd like me to to go to over there, I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah. Any indication from the governor? As we said, she's in a re-election mode now as well, as far as expectations she has of the legislature, things that she'd like to see move forward that would help her in her re-election bid.
Yeah, I think she's really voiced a lot of support for tax reform, which is something that I personally am going to work on. I've got a bill that would go to bring our top rate of 6.8. That will be in 2023 down to 4%. It'd be a flat tax. I think that she would probably be supportive of something along that lines. Yeah. She's also supportive of workforce development. We need to. I mean, those are our two biggest needs in the state of Iowa right now. Yeah. Workforce development, taxes, and so we're aligned. The Senate is aligned with those two as well. I think school choice is, last year we couldn't pass school choice in the State House. I was a kind of a champion of school choice. I call it parents' choice.
Right.
It really is. It's more about parents' choices than it is about the school.
Yeah.
And so, but a lot of things have happened over the course of the last 6 or 8 months that have really changed a lot of legislators' minds, and I think a lot of parents are screaming for this right now. They would like to have school choice. They'd like to have the option to be able to send their kid to a different school versus maybe a school that's not listening to them.
Right.
I want to always preface that by saying our schools in Northwest Iowa are awesome.
Right.
And I haven't had a single complaint from parents or otherwise, or school boards. There is some concern about some minor things here or there across House District 1. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of complaints from more populated school districts, the Polk County, Des Moines School District, Ankeny, Johnston, Grimes, those kind of school districts.
And this has to do with curriculum that's being passed? Or
some curriculum, some just the school board not listening to the parents. Yeah.
And you're seeing that nationwide where parents are... I think we've seen elections in Virginia where people didn't think they were being listened to, and the party switched in Virginia. So
you're exactly right. The school boards. No time in I think in my lifetime have school board elections become like important.
Yeah,
And I've always said I believe that elections are important from the local dog catcher to the president.
Yeah.
Sometimes those local elections are more important than the president's elections because I just don't see that the president is everybody looks at that as the prize on election day, but what can really a president do? They're held and constrained so much.
And where locally, and you and I can both speak to this,
yes,
you have direct connection with those people that you're serving.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And they have direct access to you as well. And if they feel they're not being listened to, I know whoever the president, doesn't matter the party, isn't hearing what I'm having to say. But I can talk to my state rep, and you can talk to your supervisor, and at least get your intentions known.
You're exactly right. Yeah, I've always people have asked me, well, why did you? Because this is my first elected position that I've ever run for. Why did you decide to run for a House? And I'm like, well, because I didn't know. I just was asked, and I said, okay, I'll do it. But then they said, well, why did you skip school board? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'd never want to be in school board. That's the most, people are calling you all the time. And, and while I get called.
What are we most passionate about? Our kids.
Yeah. But I can't imagine like city council or supervisor, people are probably calling you probably way more than what they call me.
Yeah.
And that's not all bad. I like to be called. I like to be people to
and I do too, right, yes.
Issues. But sometimes one issue can bring a lot of phone calls, and you're like, yes, I'm well aware of that. You're my 13th person who have called,
Yeah, and it is amazing, and it's many times a wonderful learning opportunity to hear an opposing viewpoint. But I agree, and I've always broken it up into there's public, or not public officials, but public service, and then there's politics, and I do prefer public service and helping people out if possible. So
yeah, I've kind of really looked at my whole life as being public service. I served 25 years in the military, and work with water quality. I believe that's a public service, and then the House of Representatives, I believe, is a public service as well. There's always politics in everything you do.
Oh, sure.
From going, telling somebody about a movie that you wanted to go see, all the way up to the president.
Yeah.
But there's politics in everything.
Yeah, there is.
We learned how to separate and segregate.
Yeah, and you have said many times to me that, what people don't know is down in Des Moines, you're talking to the people in the opposition party, and how are your kids? Are they still playing basketball? It's on the hot topic issues where all of a sudden there's the split, but a lot of it's all these people trying to make what they think is right happening.
To just kind of go along with that, just a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from a Democrat. She's a female Democrat who called me. She said, Wills, I wanted you to be one of the first. She calls me Wills. She's like, Wills, I wanted you to be the first one to know that I'm retiring. And she said, I just want to let you know because she sits fairly close to me. She said, I'm going to miss you and miss our discussions and conversations. And so that's the kind of relationship we have down there. Yeah. Now, have her and I gotten to the biggest arguments and fights?
Sure.
As well. Yeah, we do, but we just learned to...
That's what having a couple parties is all about, opposing viewpoints.
Yeah.
And, it's often just what is the role of government?
Yeah.
And this is my view of what government should or not be doing, and yours, and who's ever got the bigger numbers gets it.
That's right. Yep.
But it is a lot of people trying to do good. So you'll be starting that next Monday, and along with everybody else in the House, and of course, State Senator-elect Dave Rowley in the Senate now from Spirit Lake. So
yeah, it'll be really interesting. I've known Dave for a long time and a lot of years, and so it'll be interesting to see him working on a different level and down in the Senate. And working on that level. I think he'll do very well. He's kind of got the temperament and the ability to really be able to work with other people and bring his unique views to I don't think we've got and he's an insurance guy.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got an insurance guy in the House or the Senate. And so he'll bring some unique perspectives to that aspect.
And that's the beauty of a citizen government, you are different people, different occupations, views of life, and that better than one person, a dictator, telling you exactly how it's going to happen. So we're pretty lucky.
Sure.
Well, thank you for your service as always, Mr. Wills, and much appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you for interviewing and kind of getting our important issues out to the forefront.
Appreciate that as well, and good luck to everybody down there. And I know it's a long session, hopefully not over 100 days, but we'll see.
So it tends to be in election years like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a short session because everybody wants to get...
Everyone's got...
Almost nobody has the exact same district, so there's different people, new people to contact. So yeah you're probably right. We'll be fairly short.
Yeah, well, best of luck down there. And so anyway, our guest here again, State Representative John Wills of Spirit Lake, and we want to thank him for taking time and again for his service, not only here, but of course in the military, and we thank you for watching us right here on Okoboji Broadcast. Okoboji Broadcast from the studios at historic Arnold's Park Amusement Park is brought to you in part by the Scott Troutman State Farm Agency in Spirit Lake, Quest Wealth Management, a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, advisor Jan Spielman, AJ Spielman, and Erica Wachholz. Ducky's Marine and Motorsports Repair in Spirit Lake. Bank Midwest, dream big, plan wisely, live well. Lakes Regional Healthcare and Avera Partner. Ruthven Locker at the Lake, where carnivores are welcome on Hill Avenue in Spirit Lake. Beck Engineering in Spirit Lake. Be Radiant Laser Skin Studio in the Okoboji Plaza in Okoboji.